Africa, a continent full of riches. Gold, oil, diamonds, fertile lands, and rare minerals that we use in our phones and computers. However, Africa is the poorest continent in the world. Millions live in extreme poverty, and it seems that progress is slower than anywhere else. How can this be possible in a land so rich in resources? Today we are going to uncover the roots of this inequality and, most importantly, what Africa can do to change its destiny. Join me as we unravel this complex history. To understand Africa's poverty, we must look back long before the current countries existed. In the Middle Ages, Africa was home to great empires, like Mali and Ethiopia, which excelled in mathematics, trade, and metalworking. But everything changed between the 16th and 19th centuries, when Europe began to see Africa not as a trading partner, but as an inexhaustible source of slaves. Millions of Africans were torn from their homes and sent to work in America. The natural resources that remained on the continent were exploited and shipped to Europe, while internal wars between African kingdoms to capture slaves further weakened their local economies. During those centuries, Africa lost more than its people. It also lost its potential for development. But it didn't all end with slavery. In the 19th century, during the colonial race, Europe divided Africa into countries using arbitrary rules. These borders did not respect cultures or ethnicities. As a result, enemy peoples were locked up in the same country, while sister communities were separated. The colonial powers built railways, ports, and roads, but not to benefit Africans. The infrastructure only served to transport natural resources from the mines and plantations to Europe. When the colonies became independent in the 20th century, their economies were still dependent on exporting raw materials, which made the countries vulnerable to any global crisis. The challenges after independence. Independence did not solve the problems. The new nations inherited weak economies and unstable governments. Many countries became dictatorships or suffered frequent coups. The lack of investment in education and technology kept the continent in poverty, while corruption and mismanagement depleted what few resources were left. As if that were not enough, Africa faces unique challenges: diseases, agricultural pests, and problems accessing water. The combination of difficult geography and inefficient governments has further hindered development. A hopeful future? But all is not lost. Africa is changing, and there are reasons to be optimistic. Democratization is advancing in many countries, and the African Union is working to promote trade between the nations of the continent. Some countries are investing in education and technology, creating a new generation of entrepreneurs and leaders. In addition, powers like China are investing in infrastructure in Africa, building roads, trains, and factories that could transform the region. Although these investments have their own risks, they offer an opportunity for development. Africa also has an invaluable resource: its people. The African population is young, and by the year 2050, it is expected to double to reach 3 billion. With proper education and access to opportunities, this youth could be the engine that drives Africa towards a bright future. Africa is a continent full of contradictions, rich in resources but trapped in poverty. Its history is marked by deep wounds, but its future is full of potential. The destiny of Africa depends on its ability to overcome its challenges and on the will of its leaders and allies to build a more just and prosperous continent. What do you think? Is Africa ready to lead in the 21st century? Leave us your opinion in the comments. And if you found this topic interesting, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you next time.